For the last 50 years, the entire global economy has been a dam. Behind that dam is a force so powerful that if it ever broke through, every price you've ever seen would be revealed as a lie. And that force is inflation, the natural, unstoppable tendency of technology to make everything cheaper. And for 50 years, central banks have been plugging the leaks with trillions of dollars in printed money just to hide it from you. But something happened in the last 18 months that they cannot print fast enough to cover. AI didn't just start replacing workers, it started collapsing the cost of intelligence itself. And when the cost of intelligence collapses, cost of everything collapses with it. And that dam is cracking. And when it breaks, one asset gets violently repriced in the opposite direction of everything else. It's already happening. You're just measuring it in the wrong currency. Let me show you. Here's something that nobody thinks about. Technology has exactly one job: to make things cheaper. That's it. The entire purpose of technology. From the first plow to the latest AI model, take any task, do it with less human effort, less time, less energy, and the cost of that thing falls. Look at the cost of artificial light. In 1800, an hour of light from a candle cost the average person a significant chunk of their daily wages. Today, an hour of light costs you less than a fraction of a penny. Light got roughly 100,000 times cheaper in 200 years. Cost of computing power? A single calculation that would have taken thousands of dollars in 1960 costs you essentially nothing today. It's not cheaper, it's essentially free. Cost of sending the message across the world? 1900, a single telegram cost the equivalent of a week's groceries. Today, you send a message anywhere on Earth for free and you don't even think about it. And it's not a coincidence. It's not a trend. It's physics. More productivity equals lower cost per unit. That's just what technology does. It deflates. So in a world where technology is constantly making everything cheaper, the natural state of prices should be falling. So let me ask you a question. If technology is constantly making everything cheaper, why does everything feel more expensive? And here's the answer. And it's going to sound conspiratorial, and it's not. It's just math, so stay with me. The entire global financial system, every pension, mortgage, government budget, valuation model on Wall Street is built on top of more than $340 trillion in debt. And that debt only works if prices keep rising. Every pension fund in the world assumes 7% annual returns, which requires growth, requires inflation. Every mortgage ever issued is priced assuming your house goes up over time. Every government budget assumes the economy grows faster than debt. Every stock valuation model on Wall Street assumes at least 2% inflation forever. Now here's the part nobody wants to say out loud. If prices start falling, if the natural state of technology actually reaches you, all of that breaks. Your debt gets harder to pay in real terms. Your pension goes insolvent. The government can't meet its obligations. Every valuation model on Wall Street has to be thrown out. Deflation isn't bad for the economy. Deflation is fatal for the debt system that runs the economy. That's why the dam was built. Not to protect the economy, in order to protect you, protect the debt. And for 50 years, they've been plugging the leaks. 1971, Nixon takes the United States off the gold standard. The dollar becomes pure faith. No physical backing, no constraint much can be created. The dam gets its first patch. 2008, financial crisis hits. The Fed invents something called quantitative easing, a polite term for printing trillions of dollars out of thin air to buy assets. The Fed's balance sheet goes from $800 billion to $4.5 trillion over the next 6 years. 2020, COVID. The Fed's balance sheet more than doubles from $4 trillion to nearly $9 trillion in under 2 years. M2, the broadest measure of money supply, grows by almost 27% in a single year. It's the biggest jump in American history. 2022 to now. Interest rates shoot up. Everyone says the Fed is tightening. The balance sheet barely contracts. You know why didn't they promised? Never happened. It can't happen because the debt can't survive it. Every time you heard the phrase unprecedented monetary response in the news, what you really were hearing was the dam is leaking faster and we need more concrete. And every patch has required more printing than the last one. And the velocity of patches is accelerating. But here's where it gets personal. Let me tell you why you feel broke. Since 2000, the median American wage has gone up about 78%, which sounds okay, right? In the same 25 years, median home price has gone up more than 160%. Your grocery bill has gone up about 80%. Healthcare costs have more than doubled. College tuition, you forget about it. I feel like you're running faster and falling further behind because you are. Here's what almost nobody will tell you. In a functioning economy, 25 years of technological process, internet, smartphones, automation, logistics, now AI, should have made all of those things cheaper, dramatically cheaper. You were supposed to be rich by now. Technology should have made you rich. Productivity gains in the last 25 years were real. They happened, but they didn't reach you because the printing press intercepted them before they could. Every dollar of deflation technology created, dam absorbed it, turned it into inflation on the other side, funneled it into asset prices for the people who already had assets, and left you holding a paycheck that buys less every year. And that worked for 50 years. Until something came along, the dam was never designed to hold back. To understand what's happening now, you have to understand what's happened before. Because this isn't the first time technology has tried to deflate the world, it's actually the third. Wave one, the agricultural revolution. Starting in the 1700s, machines replaced manual farm labor. Cost of food collapsed, and the dam absorbed it because people left farms jobs went to work in the factories. Wave 2, the Industrial Revolution. 1800s into the 1900s, machines replaced manual goods production. The cost of everything you could touch collapsed, and the dam absorbed that too because people left factories and went to work in offices. And Wave 3, the Internet. Starting in the 1990s, the cost of information collapsed. Encyclopedias, phone calls, maps, music, all went to effectively zero. And the dam absorbed that too. People were moving up the chain again, into knowledge work, into thinking for a living. So here's the pattern. Each wave deflated one sector, and every time the workforce moved up from physical labor into intellectual labor. Each wave was painful, but it was absorbable because there was a higher floor to stand on. AI breaks that pattern, because AI isn't deflating one sector, it's deflating thinking itself. And thinking is the input to every other sector. There is no higher floor to move up to. This is a different kind of pressure, and the dam was never designed for it. So let me walk you through the math of why this specifically breaks the system. Because you're probably thinking the Fed has printed through every crisis for the past 120 years. Why would this one be any different? Here's why. For the dam to hold, for nominal prices to stay relatively stable, the rate of money printing has to match the rate of inflation. They have to cancel each other out the entire game. And for most of the last 50 years, technology deflated at maybe 2 to 3% a year. Fed printed at roughly the same rate. Illusion worked. You didn't feel the deflation, and they didn't fully break the currency. But AI doesn't deflate at 2 or 3%. AI is compressing costs across entire industries at 20, 30, sometimes 90% in a single year. So if the real deflation in the economy is now 30% a year, the dam to keep holding, the Fed would have to expand the money supply at 30% a year forever. And that's not monetary policy. That's hyperinflation. That's Zimbabwe. That's Weimar. That's the currency itself breaking. And the hyperscalers are already telling you this is happening across Amazon, Microsoft, Google, and Meta. Combined are spending over $600 billion on AI infrastructure in 2026 alone. That's up over 60% from last year. And it's almost the entire amount we spent on the railroad system in the United States over the 120 years that was being built out. They're not doing it because it's optional. They're doing it because if they don't, someone else will deflate their business to zero first. So here's the contradiction at the heart of the system. Infinite deflation pushing on one side and infinite printing required to hold it back from the other. Something has to give. Either the currency breaks or the prices break through. Either way, the dam fails. Now here's the part where I tell you something you already seen in the headlines. You just didn't know what you were looking at. In the first quarter of 26 alone, tech companies announced over 78,000 layoffs. Nearly half of those were explicitly tied to AI automation. Meta announced 8,000 layoffs in May, 10% of their workforce, even while posting record revenue. The company is redirecting payroll toward a $115 billion AI infrastructure bill. Amazon cut 16,000 corporate jobs, concentrated in AWS, devices, and retail, while simultaneously announcing $200 billion in capex for 2026. Salesforce, Dell, Atlassian, Snapchat, Oracle, between 20 and 30,000 cuts in a single quarter. And here's the line that tells you everything. First time, AI was the single largest stated reason for layoffs across all industries in March of 2026. Not cost cutting, restructuring, or macroeconomic headwinds. AI, by name, on every earnings call. Companies are done pretending. They used to hide it. They'd call it efficiency or streamlining. Now they're telling us directly. The work is being done by machines. Humans are being removed from the process. And this is just the beginning. This is white collar entry level. This is a canary in the coal mine. If you work in tech, finance, law, media, marketing, probably already seeing coworkers disappear. And you may be wondering if you're next. Labor is the first place the repricing shows up. But labor is just the first domino. Here's where it gets serious. Everyone keeps saying Bitcoin's going up. Bitcoin went from under $1 to nearly $80,000 in 15 years. And that framing is wrong. And once you see why, you're not going to be able to see it. Bitcoin isn't going up. Bitcoin is the constant. Everything else is going down against it. Look at the S&P 500 price of Bitcoin over the last 10 years. Down over 98%. Most important stock index in the world has been collapsing against Bitcoin for a decade. The median American home priced in Bitcoin, down over 97%. Gold, the asset supposed to be the store of value, priced in Bitcoin, down 95%. And the dollar priced in Bitcoin, curve that only goes in one direction, asymptotically approaching zero. Every single thing you thought was going up, your home, 401k, savings account, has actually been collapsing for 10 years straight. You just didn't see it because you're using a melting ruler to measure. Now, you might say, Bitcoin's volatile, it's not stable. How can it be an honest measuring stick? And stability isn't the same as truth. A melting ruler is stable, just measures less every year. That's what the dollar is. Bitcoin may move in dollar terms, but it doesn't lie. And so here's the thing. The repricing I promised you at the beginning of the video, it's not something that's about to happen. It started 10 years ago. Every asset on Earth has already been getting repriced against Bitcoin quietly in the background, while everyone measured in the wrong currency. The violence is what happens when the market finally realizes it. So if every asset is getting repriced against Bitcoin, the question is, why Bitcoin? What makes it specifically the asset that absorbs this? So you might say, what about gold? Gold is scarce. It's held value for 5,000 years. Why not gold? And gold works until someone mines more of it, until the government confiscates it. The US did 1933. Until you have to physically transport it, store it, and verify it. Gold is scarce, but not verifiably fixed. Bitcoin has 21 million coins. That's it. There will never be one more. Not because the central bank promises it, because the math forbids it. And now put Bitcoin up against every other asset in the growth bucket. Software companies, their moats are being dissolved by AI in real time. Real estate, illiquid and requires a functioning currency to price. Stocks, their margins are being compressed by the same force pushing the deflation curve vertical. Bitcoin has no revenue for AI to compress, no moat for AI to erode, no employees for AI to replace. No competitor can ship a cheaper version of it for free. It's the only asset on earth that AI can't make cheaper because it's not built on intelligence, it's built on math. Every monetary policy in human history has had one thing in common. The people running it always found a way to print more of it. Always. Bitcoin is the first asset ever engineered where nobody can. And it's not a prediction, it's the only place the math allows the value to go is up. And so here's why I use the word violent in the title. Markets don't reprice in a straight line. They price in step functions. Slow pressure builds to a critical point, and a violent snap to equilibrium. History is full of examples like that. Nixon takes us off the gold. Gold has been pinned at $35 an ounce for decades. In 9 years, it hit $850. 24 times move. That's not a gradual repricing. That's a dam break. From 1995 to 2000, the NASDAQ went from fringe to dominant asset class in just 5 years. Companies that didn't exist in 1994 were worth hundreds of billions by 1999. And it's not gradual. That's violent. Every one of those felt sudden. None of them really were. They were all decade-long pressure buildups that finally resolved. Bitcoin is exactly that shape of setup. Pressure's been building for about 10 years. Every asset on Earth has been quietly repricing against it. The market has refused to consciously see what's happening. AI is the catalyst because that flips the timeline from eventually to now. Because AI forces the question no one wants to ask. If intelligence itself is becoming nearly free, what's left that's scarce? There's one answer, and the market is about to collectively realize it. Now here's the part most retail investors miss. The question of who triggers the repricing. Institutional capital doesn't move first, it moves last, by design. Pension funds, endowments, sovereign wealth funds, they all wait for a thesis to become consensus before they allocate. They can't be early, their mandates prohibit it. Right now, the thesis you just watched me explain is pre-consensus. Only a handful of Bitcoiners and macro investors see it. But once AI forces the realization, and it's forcing it in real time right now, institutional rotation happens on a timeline measured in months. Not years, months. Trillions of dollars of institutional capital rebalancing into an asset with a market cap in the low single-digit trillions. The math of that collision is the violent repricing. You're not early because you're smart. You're early because the institutions aren't physically capable of moving yet. It's a window, and it's not a wide one. Let me tell you what this actually looks like for you and your family, because this isn't about getting rich. The repricing won't feel like a bull run. This won't. It'll feel like the rest of the world breaking. Your friends with 401ks will watch their account balances technically go up while their purchasing power collapses. Their houses will appreciate while the dollar they're priced in evaporates. They'll work the same jobs for the same pay and wonder why they can afford less and less every year. Meanwhile, their government will be printing faster than ever, trying to hold the dam together. The noise in the news will get louder, the stimulus packages will get bigger, and the excuses will multiply. And the people who hold Bitcoin won't get rich, which is the part that surprises people. They'll just keep their purchasing power while everyone else loses theirs. That's what Bitcoin actually is. It's not a lottery ticket. It's not a get-rich-quick trade. It's the correction of a 50-year lie about what money is supposed to be. You're not buying Bitcoin to make money. Buying it to stop losing it in a currency that's designed to leak. The people who understand this aren't celebrating. They're preparing, quietly, while the rest of the world argues about the wrong numbers and the wrong currency. So let's bring you back to where we started. For 50 years, the entire global economy was a dam, holding back the natural deflation that technology was trying to deliver to you. Central banks plugged the leaks with trillions of printed money. You felt the consequences in your paycheck, your home, your groceries, your healthcare, and nobody explained why. Then AI came along, and the dam was never designed to hold back a force that deflates thinking itself. AI didn't cause this. The dam was always going to break. AI just picked the date. And when it breaks, when the market finally accepts what you now understand, the repricing doesn't go sideways, it goes vertical. So there's only one asset on Earth that captures the productivity gains technology was supposed to give you. There's only one asset that AI can't make cheaper. There's only one asset that institutions are about to be forced to allocate to. Bitcoin isn't the bet, it's the receipt. The repricing already happened. The rest of the world just hasn't caught up yet. If you want to understand exactly how high this repricing goes, the real number that the math produces, I walk through in the next video. I'll see you there.